Next door neighbor is actually an alien undercover on Earth trying to find mate. He finds mate in girl next door and proceeds to kidnap her. And the bang. My gosh, is this book extremely spicy. At least 400 of those 600 pages is them having sex. And you know what? Sometimes that's what you're in the mood for. Just those conversations were really interesting, and I find that the emotional impact of this story really lingered long afterwards. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. At some point or another, you're gonna see the mic peeking up because I'm sick and every brain cell that I have is being dedicated to this video. I can't figure out how to mount this on a tripod and I don't have the mental capacity to do that. So instead, we get this reporter style. Judging by the fact that I'm wearing the exact same outfit, all I've done is put my hair up, you know that we are here for another best of the year video. I have 3 videos that I'm doing as part of this series. The first you already saw, best books of 2023 in general. This is the best monster romances and alien romances that I read in 2023. And the last book in this series, coming out very soon for you, is going to be the best books published in 2023. You have heard me talk about some of these books before, but just in case you haven't, here's a list of the monster and alien romances that I read this year that I actually enjoyed. The biggest surprise to both me and you is the fact that I didn't read very many monster or alien romances this year. Don't know what was up, but I did not read a lot of them. Regardless, here are the top 6 that I read. This is in no particular order, but let's go from 6 to 1. At number 6 is Taken by the Alien Next Door by Tiffany Roberts. I'll keep the summaries brief here. Girl moves into house. Next door neighbor is super hot and sexy. Next door neighbor is actually an alien undercover on Earth trying to find mate. He finds mate in girl next door and proceeds to kidnap her. And the bang. Judging by the fact that this is a book about kidnapping, you would think I wouldn't enjoy it, but I did enjoy it. I think this is the closest that I could get to enjoying a dark romance, just because it was very quirky and done in a lighthearted way. Yes, she was kidnapped, and yes, it was dark, but she was also kind of on board with it. Don't know. It's a bizarre book. It's definitely not for everybody, but I had a fun enough time reading this. Then we have Deceived by the Gargoyles, and this borders on erotica. My gosh, is this book extremely spicy. In this one, we have a polyamorous romance in a magical matchmaking world. Our main female character is a witch from a very powerful family, and she is also plus size. She is freaking sick and tired of men dating her to try to get connections with her family or having opinions about the fact that she is in a bigger body. She just wants to find the love of her life, so she goes and she gets paired through a matchmaking agency, and she gets paired with a gargoyle. Now, this relationship starts on rocky grounds because Mr. Gargoyle says that he is single and he's just looking for a single partner. That is not true. He is in a polyamorous relationship, and he is hoping that the woman that he meets will very much be okay with that and will be willing to date him and his partners. Rest assured, this does not go without consequences, because while our 2 main characters do fall in love, our female main character has a big ass fucking problem with what he did. But the couples, I would say it's a spoiler to tell you that they end up happily ever after, but it's not. It's a romance, so per the course, that's a happily ever after. They do end up getting together, and when I tell you the scenes where all 4 of them are fucking, the swords do cross, because it's a poly relationship, not a why choose romance. Hot. Listen to the audiobook, because my god, they fuck a lot. They fuck a lot. And if you're looking for something that's super, super steamy, this is what I would tell you to read. Another book that borders on erotica, but a very, very long one. This is A Soul to Touch by Opal Rain. It is over 600 pages, and I've said this before, but just in case you haven't heard it, at least 400 of those 600 pages is them having sex. And you know what? Sometimes that's what you're in the mood for, and that's what I was in the mood for. This is the 3rd book in this series with all the beautiful covers, and we have learned more about this world. In this one, we're following one of the characters, and he's dying. His skull has been fractured, and that is the only way you can kill one of these creatures. He knows that he is dying, but several years ago he ended up saving this young girl. He's always had this obsession with her and has just wanted to protect her, and he wants to go back and protect her in his final years. However, our young girl's a grown-ass woman now, and she's a self-proclaimed monster fucker. She has always known him him. And as she's gotten older, she has this ridiculous obsession with him. So when he comes back around, she catches him and they proceed to bang for a long ass fucking time. Of all of the books in the series, I would say this one's the most lighthearted. Yes, there is this underlying tone of sadness because you know that the main male character is dying, but there's also just this desire for both of them to spend time with each other and to enjoy the time that they have together and to have lots of sex. And honestly, it is really just them being in love and being happy. And if you want something that's very fluffy but still has lots of high fantasy elements, I would recommend this one. This is definitely a high fantasy series, and just know that the further along you get in the stories, the more Opal Rain develops this world and you come to understand what is actually going on beyond these things. Wouldn't be in the monster and alien romance list if I didn't tell you about Ruby Dixon, because Miss Ruby Dixon is back with Argyll's Residence. Argyll is a character that we apparently met in Ice Planet Barbarians, but to be real with you, I stopped reading IPB because this series is long as fuck. But this is the Ice Planet Clones series. It says it right on the cover. That's not a spoiler. And in this one, we're following a woman who finds herself kidnapped and she is locked in a cave on a planet that is unfamiliar to her. She really has no idea what's going on. And one day she meets another captive, another man who has also been thrown into a cave, and he decides that he's going to rescue her because he resonates. And if you don't know what resonating is, it is essentially fated mates, where his Kui, essentially a tapeworm, like, I don't know, lives in his heart, goes and starts to resonate. And to them, resonance is knowing that you have found your ideal mate, your fated mate. So he rescues her and they fall in love. And what I really do enjoy about this is this conversation about clones. Like, yes, the relationship is sweet, and Argyll is such a sweetie pie because, as you all know, monster and alien romances tend to be very soft. But her internal monologue and world and understanding that she's a clone and like what that means to be a clone and to have a sense of identity, and this concern like, well, if he had met the person who actually is me, would he also resonate? Just those conversations were really interesting, and I find that the emotional impact of this story really lingered long afterwards. The way Ruby Dixon really managed to navigate this very complex subject obviously doesn't apply because we don't currently have the ability to clone humans as far as I'm aware, but the clone that exists and how she has to navigate identity, knowing that she is in fact an exact copy of someone else and that none of the memories in her mind are actually hers. And the top two books on this list are part of the same series, and again, it will surprise absolutely none of you because you all saw this coming. The second one is I Married a Minotaur. I loved I Married a Minotaur. This takes place in the same world of the Prime Mating Agency. We're on the bird planet, and this time we are following the Minotaur groups. And the Minotaur groups were the antagonists of the I Married a Birdman series. Except now they have a new Minotaur leader, and he really doesn't want his people to go out and fight and go to war all the time. The main reason the Minotaurs do this is because of an excessive level of testosterone, and it's also part of their evolutionary biology. When they fight and they get injured and they heal, they get stronger. So they have a biological drive to fight. But he's trying to find a way to peacefully do this and to help his people without being aggressors to the rest of the planet. And we get introduced to our female love interest. Now, she's not looking for a mate, but she's a thief and she has been caught stealing something that she should not. So she gets sentenced to life in prison on this prison world, where essentially they know that she's either gonna die or have her soul completely crushed. And it's one of the worst punishments you could possibly get. It's way too harsh for what it is that she did, but the judge has a bias against her. She ends up getting help from the Prime Mating Agency, and because she gets assigned a mate to help a developing planet, she gets to escape her life sentence. So choosing between jail and death versus a mate, she chooses the mate. So they go, again, this is such a sweet and wholesome romance, but what I really like is a political intrigue in here and learning more about how our main characters navigate this very complicated situation and how they get the rest of the team on board and try to find solutions that work for everyone. like all the monster and alien romances on this list, it is a very soft romance, but it was so much fun to read. And like I said, the political intrigue, and that's something that is interesting to you, you will find it in here. And then we have I Married a Naga, a snake romance. That's right, besties. Apparently I don't draw the lines at snakes, but I do draw the lines at spiders. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, so in I Married a Naga, we have a competition of sorts. There is a planet that is being overrun by an invasive species. This planet usually doesn't open itself up to visitors, but because this invasive species is presenting a threat to not only their natural resources, but to the people who live on this planet, they open up the planet to a competition for hunters, where essentially they get to hunt these invasive species, and there's a grand cash prize. The only rule is that they are not allowed to enter into the territory of the native people, the Naga, who live on this planet. It is against the rules. Our main female character is hunting, and she realizes that someone is cheating and has put in pheromones to attract this invasive species, but unfortunately one of the native Naga children is caught up in this and ends up being chased down by one of the invasive species, and she knows that if she does not interfere, this child will die. So she chooses to cross over into Naga territory for the sake of rescuing this child. Normally the penalty for this is death, but lucky for her, the child that she ends up saving is actually the chief's nephew, so they grant her pardon. Not pardon in the sense that they're going to let her go, pardon in the sense that they're going to give her a loophole. If she marries one of the people in this community, she gets to be part of that community and therefore did not break any of the rules, but she is obligated to live and stay on that planet and stay married to this person. Choosing between this and death, she obviously chooses the mate. And thankfully for her, she does know and has met this person. This was very cute and very romantic, and definitely on the less steamy side of other Regine Abel books, but what I really loved in this was the scenery and the vividness of the description and just how much respect and love there is between the two main characters. It's not insta-love in any way. They don't expect to fall in love with each other right away, but they have so much mutual respect and understanding for each other, and the way our main male character really tries his best to get her to be comfortable, to create activities and hobbies for her, to let her utilize her skill sets. It's just a very romantic story, and I absolutely adored it. And that's it, besties. So they're the top 6 monster and alien romances that I've read this year, varying in spice levels. They all have one thing in common, and that is a soft main male character, or rather, he is soft for her. Many of these main male characters are massive monsters who have absolutely no problem at all defending their mates. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found some recommendations that could work for you. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you are not already, because I have a lot of content coming out in 2024 that I am so excited for, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye!